my slips, my falls, my trials and tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop me, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Legger here representing Team JVS. I am back here again for another review. This is a movie view for a movie that's coming out this Friday, and I'm talking about Bill and Ted Face the Music. So, I was a little worried about this because it's been technically, what, 20 plus years since Bill and Ted's Excellent Journey, which I take it back. So, let's recap this. So, we got Bill and Ted. You got Excellent Adventure, and then you got The Bogus Journey. I actually love Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, for me, it didn't really kind of last the test of time, but I do remember it pretty well. And I think that one of the things about this film that I can say, if you're a lover of both, or you're a lover of one or the other, this is still going to cater to you in every way. Like, all the different hit points of Bogus Journey and Excellent Adventure are in this one. As weird as it is, as gnarly as it is, like, it is all the way of Bill and Ted's journey. The only thing is, I do have some critiques, and I'll go into those in just a second. But let's talk about what I did like. So off the gate, I loved how nostalgic and how many callbacks to the original two films this one actually had. As much as insanity was going through, I don't feel like they went over the top. This is not like a rated R kind of situation. They didn't go too off kilter, but they didn't have any limitations either. They really wanted to kind of make this feel like a journey that Bill and Ted were really going through, even in their, crisis, as it speaks for this one. Because one of the biggest things for the last one, which I thought was very imperative, was that during Bogus Journey, they came out, they got together, they unified everybody together, and they came out with this song that I felt like was a universal song that brought people together. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is amazing. They not only had like their babies and their wives with them, but they even looked older. Like, I felt like that was it. So when this one came up in the trailers, I was like, what was the whole point if, what happened in the last one didn't matter? And they addressed that. I do love, from a scripting standpoint, they did make reason why there had to be this one. But the things that I loved about this one specifically were Sarah Weaving and Bridget Lundy-Paine, Billy and Thea. So if you don't know, Ted named his daughter Billy after his best friend, of course, Bill. And then Bill named his daughter Thea after his best friend, Ted, which was Theodore. And so Theodore and Logan. But either way, them as the young girls, they played their characters so well that I was kind of like, low-key, I actually might have been able to be okay without, your boy Bill Winter and Keanu Reeves in this movie. I think that structurally, honestly, it could have been a completely different story, in my personal opinion. I think the way that I would have maybe written it was that all of a sudden the two men that were supposed to unite everybody, they have disappeared or vanished, or something has happened to them, and the only ones still there are the people that idolize them since birth. 25 years later, it comes to be their daughters. I think that, honestly, they could have went and did it that complete way. But I think, again, this caters to those that did love the progression and the kind of the end point that left from Bogus Journey. And they also blend, Excellent Adventures, where you also get simultaneously an adventure with Bill and Ted, with Keanu Reeves and Bill Winter pinging off themselves just as, it was almost like it was like just yesterday. The only thing is, it's just a little jarring because they are so much older. And we've seen Keanu Reeves be such more of a serious actor. Now, Keanu Reeves got so much range, it's not even funny. It's just weird. I haven't seen Keanu Reeves clean shaven in a very long time, and it actually, makes him look a lot older than, what was kind of like, I think, addressed necessarily. But, I think both of them, they still hit it out the park. They definitely understand their characters' full range. And the other thing about this one is that they get to play different versions of their character. In Bogus Journey, they get to play robot versions of themselves. And, you know, of course, Excellent Adventure, they get to see like the younger version of themselves / older version at the same time. This one, they go through wide ranges of different dimensional versions of Bill and Ted, which makes it pretty interesting. I think when they get towards the last few versions or renditions of themselves, it gets a little more interesting to me. I think the earlier incarnations, I was kind of just like, yo, they're just going to continue to make things worse. This is going to be a ever-living cycle. And I think that progression of the arc with just Bill and Ted kind of felt a little slighted to me. I wasn't as enthralled with it, even though I was laughing, even though I thought it was hilarious, even though the foolishness was just as crazy as ever. But I very much so more preferred Thea and Billy's arc, where they were trying to help their dads and what they were doing and what it's surrounded by their love for music as much as their love for people, as much as their love for their dads. I think that they really made this film for me so much more, not necessarily timeless, but a lot more invigorating and new and fresh. They also added somebody to the cast as well, Kristen Shahill, normally plays the role of Louise as the role of Kelly. And I'm not going to say who her dad is, but it's a very interesting callback. And your boy William Sadler is back as Death, and he is hilarious. He is, like, when he comes back on the scene, I was kind of like, I missed you, bro. I straight up missed you, and I love what they did with this character. Then you also have a newcomer in this weird robot. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to talk about it. It just is played by Anthony Carrigan, which is weird because he's got a lot of range as well. He plays very weird characters, and I think the last character I saw him in was in Barry, but most notable Victor Zsasz in Gotham, which is a very menacing performance as much as a very funny one. And then everybody pretty much is back. You got their two wives, Joanna and Elizabeth, but then you also got the dad who plays the role of Chief Logan and Hal Lund Jr. So it is a lot of callbacks to the original cast, as much as those that really loved the world of Bill and Ted. And they definitely take extra strides to make the journey very interesting and different. The only big critique, like I said, that I have is the beginnings, at least the first two acts, of just Bill and Ted in it. I was like, honestly, I don't know if it benefited like the arc where you started maneuvering, seeing like how the kids were really revolving around the story more in a more interesting new way. Which maybe, I don't know, moving forward, I don't know what they're gonna do, but there's a lot of callbacks to historic figures, just like in Excellent Adventure, which I really did love. And then the only thing that I didn't like was the very third act. They kind of like, not to say rushed the ending, but it kind of like wrapped up, you know, and I was kind of like, if they would have kind of like left it a little bit more open-ended, I think that I would have had more appreciation. There was something that happens in the third act, all I can say is Infinity, and I think that they could have just left that open and things could have just progressed forward, and it would have been more, it would have been way more heartfelt, way more like meaningful in a certain kind of level. Because there's a revelation that Bill and Ted get towards the third act that I thought was very fascinating, and I think there was a really good opportunity there. Now, there is a post-credit scene at the very end, very funny, very interesting. And again, music is one of the biggest driving forces when it comes to both Thea and Billy, and they definitely absorb most of all of that in their organization of doing things, and they very much play to their dads so well, like their mannerisms and everything is so awesome. But again, I think it's a very fun ride. I think you're gonna have a lot of enjoyment with it. I'd probably rest this at a 7 or 7.5 out of 10. As far as like comparing it to the other two, I don't want to do that yet. I might go through a more detailed spoiler review later on. I want to go back and look at the first one and the second one again, because I hadn't seen those since. And so I want to go back and look at those again, and then maybe go and give you guys more of a spoiler review. But for right now, rest instead of 7 or 7.5 out of 10, I think you're gonna really enjoy it, have fun with it. Those that didn't like Bill and Ted, I don't think this is gonna change your mind. If you didn't like the other two, I don't know if this is gonna be for you. But if you did like certain aspects of the second one or the first one or both, I think you're gonna have a very fun time with this for a lot of different reasons. But I don't want to spoil anything. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll talk to you guys later. Keep it locked. JBS, we ain't gonna stop. Have a blessing, guys. Peace.